Once upon a time, a king went to a monk and said, "Sir, I want to ask you something. I have been asking this one question for 20 years, but nobody helped me. Will you please help me?" Monk replied, "Sure, ask me." King said, "Sir, I want to meet God. I don't know how, but I want to meet God. Can you help me to meet God?" Monk smiled and said, "Sure. Do you want to meet God now or after a while?" The king was surprised. He said, "Sorry, sir. Maybe you didn't understand. I am talking about the supreme power. I am talking about God." Monk smiled and said, "Of course, I know what you are asking. You want to meet God, the supreme power, right? But I am asking, do you want to meet God right now or sometimes later?" The king was surprised again. Till date, no one had asked him such a question. He took courage and said, "Well, I want to meet God now. Please help me to meet him." Monk said, "Okay. Now please write your name and address on this paper so that I can convey to God who you are." King wrote down his name, address to his palace, his introduction, his title, and gave it to the monk. After reading it, monk said, "King, all these things which you wrote on paper seems to be false and untrue." The king said, "But sir, all that I have written on paper is true." The monk said, "Tell me, if you change your name, will you change? Will your consciousness, your being, your personality become different?" King thought for a moment, then replied, "No sir, how can I change by changing my name? My body and my consciousness will remain same." Monk said, "So, one thing is decided, that the name is not your introduction, because you do not change because of its change." Then the monk said, "Now tell me, today you are king. Tomorrow, if you become a beggar, you don't have a kingdom, you don't have a palace, will you change?" King said, "No sir, even if the kingdom goes away, I become a beggar, I don't have anything, my body and my consciousness will remain the same." Then the monk said, "So second thing has been decided, that the kingdom is not your identity, because even if the kingdom is snatched away, you do not change. Now tell me, what is your age?" King replied, "Sir, my age is 40 years. Monk said, "So after being 50 years old, will you become someone else? Or 30 years ago, when you were just a child, then were you someone else?" King said, "No sir, not at all. Age changes, body changes, but I will remain same. What was inside me is still there today." The monk said, "Then third thing is decided, that the age and the body is no longer your identity. None of this introduction is yours. Then who you are? Write down here on this paper if you want to meet God." The king said, "Sir, it is very difficult. I don't know who I am. I have always known these to be my identity." Monk said, Then there is a great difficulty. Without your introduction, how can I introduce you to God? So, go, find out first who you are. And the day you will know who you are, you will not come to find God, because the one who has known himself has known God. If we see in our life, we will find that we all identify ourselves with name, body and age. We never tried to know ourselves beyond these. But we should remember that our body changes with age, our name changes, even our mind changes with time to time. But there is something which knows it all and never changes, and that is our consciousness. But when we attach ourselves to body and mind, we become subject to pleasure and pain. Pain is felt in body and sadness is felt in mind. Body is subject to comfort and pain, and mind is subject to pleasure and sorrow. But our true identity, our consciousness, is beyond both of these two emotions. Have you ever tried to know why we all wish for happiness and not sorrow? Because We ourselves are the embodiment of happiness. Joy is our true nature. That's why our natural inclination is towards happiness. Therefore, whenever you get troubled by difficulties in your life, whenever you are in sorrow, always remember yourself, who you are. Dive into your own self of bliss, and you will find that all of your sorrows will go away immediately. Please drop a comment about this teaching. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed.